In today's video, we'll be going over 3 brand new PlayStation 4 games that have been announced. We've got a game from a studio that's releasing a game later this year, and that game is pretty highly anticipated, but they've already announced their title after that. We've got a brand new story-driven dungeon crawler, and we've got another entry into a long-running series. We've been waiting a long time to figure out what Rocksteady, the guys behind Batman Arkham, what their next project is gonna be. Well, if you were hoping to hear it at the San Diego Comic-Con, you're gonna be a little bit disappointed. Hangar 13, the studio behind Mafia 3, are prepping their next game, and it is set to focus on a mature subject matter. And then at the end of this video, for those of you in Europe, I want to point your guys' attention to the Digital Zone sale going on right now. Not a lot of great deals, but there are a couple of highlights that I want to showcase. More on that at the end of this video. First, let's talk about the 3 new PlayStation 4 games that have been announced. The first one comes from the developers of Darkseid 3 Gunfire Games. Yes, they're releasing Darksiders 3 in just a few months, so that game is almost done, and their next project is a game called Remnant from the Ashes, and it's far different than Darksiders. It's a third-person survival cooperative action shooter, and while it's developed by Gunfire Games, unlike Darksiders, it'll be published by Perfect World Entertainment. The game touts 4-player co-op in dynamically generated worlds, and it's currently scheduled for a 2019 release. The game is going to have playable demos at both Gamescom and PAX, and there was an official trailer revealed. I'm not completely sold on this game yet. I think after we see the quality of Darksiders 3, we're gonna see how good Gunfire Games really is, but the game looks rather unique, so I'm excited to see some actual live gameplay from Gamescom and PAX West. Darksiders 3 comes out later this year in November, and again, Remnant from the Ashes will be coming sometime in 2019.
The rest of us hold our own, but the root keep coming. Life here will never be like the stories once told, but this place is home, and we never stop the fight to take it back.
Next up, another new game announcement is the story-driven dungeon crawler Fall of Light Darkest Edition. Fall of Light is described as a story-driven action RPG set within a world consumed by darkness. You are Nyx, an old warrior who has embarked on a dangerous journey with his daughter Aether, an indigo child who radiates luminescence. Only together will they be strong enough to complete their quest, reach the last place on Earth still touched by light. The game touts 20 different battle stances, 10 weapon classes, so a lot of variety, and there was an announcement trailer for the Darkest Edition, so give that a look. This game was released on PC all the way back in 2017, and it got hardly a reception at all. It only has 110 Steam reviews, and that is hardly anything, so hopefully it finds more of a following on consoles. And finally, this game has been announced, but it's kept under wrap, and now we know an official release date for the PC version, and the fact that it's coming later in 2018 for PS4, and that is the Bard's Tale 4 Barrows Deep. The Bard's Tale is a series that's been around for a very long time, and now we have the latest in the dungeon crawling franchise in the Bard's Tale 4 Barrows Deep. Here's an overview of the game thanks to Exile Entertainment. A return to the series' roots, the Bard's Tale 4 Barrows Deep takes players back to the fantastical world of Caith for a classical single-player, first-person, party-based role-playing adventure rich in exploration, devious puzzles, and combat. Recruit and level up a party of 6 renegade heroes and rise against the dark powers that have corrupted the realm. Dive deep into dangerous maze-like dungeons, solve challenging riddles and quests, and defeat magical beasts, creatures, and more in dynamic phase-based battles. The Bard's Tale 4 Barrows Deep vibrant interactive world is powered by Unreal Engine 4 and 3D photogrammetry to capture the atmosphere and detail of Scottish architecture and geography. Players will discover an engaging storyline from acclaimed writer Nathan Long, who also did Wasteland 2, which by the way is fantastic, featuring beautiful music. And I'll end it there. I'll leave a full link in the description box down below where you can check it out for yourself. But if you're into dungeon crawling RPGs, the Bard's Tale 4 Barrows Deep is going to be one to be on the lookout for.
As a matter of fact, if you can approach an enemy from behind, their orientation will be flipped, so their weak wizards will be in front and their sturdy tanks will be in back, giving you a huge round 1 advantage.
Your story ends here.
Alright, so I've got to watch out here. If Ashan is focusing on an attack, it's going to take one whole turn for him to execute it. I either need to dive out of the way or break his focus with mental damage. Alright, let's jump out of the way and get some damage onto this archer. Blood for Blood is the ability I got from my sacrificial dagger. It can target anyone.
Moving on from that, I've been talking a lot about how I'm very excited to see what Rocksteady's new game is. It's a step away from the Arkham franchise, and a lot of people are thinking it's a new Superman game. You would think that showcasing this new game at the San Diego Comic-Con convention would be a perfect venue. However, that is not going to be happening. Studio director and co-founder of Rocksteady Game, Jamie Walker, tweeted out this in before people start asking about whether Rocksteady Games will be at San Diego Comic-Con this year. We'd love to be there, but won't be ready to talk about our next game for a while yet. You'll know when it's time. Now here he actually mentions won't be ready to talk about our game for a while yet. That's a little bit surprising to me because it has been quite a while since Batman Arkham Knight has been released. Now the difference with releasing Arkham Knight and this new project is that this is a brand new project that they have to build from the ground up, unlike Arkham where they had the foundation set. Whenever you go back to the drawing board and creating a new series, it does take a little bit longer than when you're continuing on a franchise. So I give them a little bit credit here. I also do hope that when Rocksteady announces their game, it's a game where they announce it and then just release it 6 months later. Very much similar to what Bethesda does, but if they're going to be announcing the game sometime next year and then it releases a year later, that just seems a little bit crazy to me. I do believe we'll see Rocksteady's game in 2019, but as far as seeing the game at San Diego Comic-Con, that won't be happening. Speaking of next games for studios that released their game in 2015, Mafia 3 development studio Hangar 13 is working on a brand new project, and the next game's director, Hayden Blackman, spoke on their project Mafia 3 and everything else, and here's what he said. I am incredibly proud of Mafia 3 on every level. The fact we tackled this really tough subject matter was fantastic, but at the end of the day, it's a dark game, it's a violent exploration of damaged people. We want to continue to be able to do character studies and dive into what makes people tick, and universal human truths, but a lot of us on the team also want to do something a little more inspirational and more uplifting. So the tone of this new thing that we're working on is a little bit different than Mafia 3, but it has a lot of the same underpinnings in terms of strong characters. It's got weight and heft, and it's mature, not necessarily the rating, but the subject matter. Mafia 3 was a game that I was so excited for, but I would be lying to you guys if I said that it lived up to my personal expectations, because I enjoyed Mafia 2 so much that my expectations for Mafia 3 were very high, so I was left a little bit disappointed. However, the game was rather good, and going back and playing it without that expectation is actually gonna have you enjoy the game. It's got a great story, the voice acting is top-notch, and if Hangar 13 is creating another very mature game, there is potential there. We'll have to wait and see to figure out what it actually is. It doesn't look like it's a new Mafia game, but rather a brand new IP entirely. And finally, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, those of you in Europe, you guys have a Digital Zone sale to take advantage. A lot of smaller games on sale over at the PlayStation Store, but a couple of pretty good titles nonetheless. Verdun is 63% off, $5.79. Magicka 2 is 66% off for $3.99. Fury Definitive Edition is 67% off for $5.79. Alternatively, you can get the standard game for $4.99. Ruby Grim Eclipse is down to $5.79. Punch Club is down to $3.29. The Final Station is down to $3.99. That's quite good. Mr. Shifty is down to $4.99. A lot of smaller games, a lot of you guys probably haven't heard of, but a couple of standouts and a couple of good games nonetheless. I wanted to give that the mention it deserves. And since we always do cover NA sales, I know some of you guys always tell us to cover EU. So there you go. That's gonna conclude this video, guys. 3 new PlayStation 4 games have been announced. Which one interests you the most? We've got Remnant from the Ashes from the Darksiders 3 developers in Gunfire Games, a new story-driven dungeon crawler $10 Fall of Light Darkest Edition. The Bard's Tale 4 Barrows Deep is also a dungeon crawling RPG, and that'll be releasing later in 2018. Rocksteady's next game won't be at San Diego Comic-Con. Hangar 13's next game will once again be mature, but it does look like it isn't a Mafia title, a brand new IP entirely. And for those of you in Europe, check out the Digital Zone sale. A couple of good games to pick up. I would personally recommend Fury, as while that game is very difficult, it's very rewarding at the same time. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.